Hey, what's going on, everybody? What is going on, everybody? I want to, y'all know what it is. It's a little bit after 3 o'clock Central Standard Time. So we're live for another edition of, that's right, Book Talk Live. My name is Ray Destin Jr. I am your host. So you'll be joining me today for another coaches edition of Book Talk Live. As we as we proceed, today is going to be a special one because I actually have some things that I want to share with you. Um, there's some things that I want to share with you about the opportunities that your book is creating for others. So, with that being said, I'm happy that you tuned in. Make sure that as you tune in, you go ahead and comment. Let me know that you're here, whether you're watching on Facebook, LinkedIn, uh, or Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. So let's get it going. So today is all about the opportunities that you create for yourself and for others, just by writing your book, right? And so what I want you to understand is that the reason one of the things that I'm going to one of the reasons that I'm doing this video today is because so many of you are dreaming and thinking way too small. And what I mean by that is the opportunities that you're leaving on the table for others is letting me know is letting me know that is letting me know that you are thinking way too small. It's way bigger than you. It's way bigger than books. This is about building something that's going to help. So one of the first things that we'll touch on, and as y'all know, I like to go high level, give you the answers, and I'm going to come back and I'm going to break it down for you. One of the first things is the legacy that you're creating. I'm going to share a very personal story with you. Sometimes it actually brings tears to my eyes when I think about this part of the story. So I give y'all as much of it as I can, without getting really emotional. Second thing are the jobs that you're creating for others, and those jobs that you're creating for others um, go into a few different areas. They go into a few different areas that most of you haven't even thought about yet. Um, Next is the opportunity to collaborate. The opportunity to collaborate, and there's so many different ways that others can collaborate with you. Um, so we're just going to touch on a few of those, and then the last one is so simple for y'all, man. It is really just so simple that I'm going to save that until the end. As y'all know, I like to leave the best surprises for last. So let's touch on it. One of the first things is the legacy that you are actually creating. And so before I even touch on the legacy, before I jump into the story, I want to read something to you. You've heard it in a few movies. You know, if you like me, you watch these amazing inspirational movies. It was in Aquila and the Bee. It was in Coach Carter. And each time that we heard this quote slash poem, what ended up happening is it touched a certain emotion because we realized that there was something bigger that was being said. So this one is the answer to what is your biggest fear? What is your deepest fear? And it goes something like this. Our deepest fear is not that we're inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine as children do. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. So, with that quote, I read that for a reason because I've actually seen it firsthand how this following your dream actually impacts others. So let's talk about the legacy. I remember when I first started writing my book. I first started writing my first book, Claim Your Destiny, back in 2010. 2010, my son was 2 years old. And at this point, we spent a lot of time together at the house. He was learning in his early stages, but he was seeing a lot as well. I made sure to bring him with me to every event. I can remember one day, and this was my profile picture for so long, where we actually went to two different speaking engagements in the same day. One was a job fair for teens in Austin, where we talked about responsibility and we helped get everybody checked in, and we just did a lot of work. During the time that I'm speaking to everybody, he's in the back, just sitting on his tablet, just being a kid, just doing what kids do. But the second event, between that time and between that event and the next event, the videographer, myself, and my son, we went sat down and got something to eat. We talked about the game plan. We talked about the rest of the day. We talked business. My son was just listening, but he was eating the whole time. He was about 4 years old. No, he's about 5 years old at this time. And so the next event that we went to another speaking engagement, which was at the University of Texas at Austin. I was speaking to young leaders about the power of leadership, about the things that they actually had access to. And so since we were talking about it, I heard my son in the back. I said something about my son. He's watching, and I could hear this big echo, this big booming voice out of the back, Dad, because he was watching, he was paying attention the whole time. Now, fast forward a little bit. Some things changed, life happened, and life moved on. However, not 2 years later, when we finally finished that book, my son has seen everything that I had been through, and I mean everything that I've been through. He didn't see one event that really was a heartbreaker. That event is something that I won't even discuss publicly, because it was just that bad. It was that painful still to discuss. But he saw everything that I had been through. He saw the times that I lost my truck, so I'm still catching the bus to youth programs, catching the bus with a backpack, a computer, and a tripod to make sure that I'm getting video of different events that I'm going to. The hunger was there. He was right alongside of me. As we continued, fast forward 2015, July 13th, my son actually was with me when I opened my first box of books. And when I opened this first box of books, when I opened this first box of books, he's sitting across from me, and he looks at me with this look of pride in his eyes, this gleam, this he's inspired, he's motivated. He sees his dad has gone through some struggles, and he said, Dad, when I get older, I want to be an author and a speaker too. Well, that's exactly what we did, because 2 years later, we actually published his first book, Zayden's Awesome Adventures. My son was 9 years old when we published his book. So don't tell me what you can't do. There's a legacy what's going on, Roy? There's a legacy that began just by watching and seeing what was going on, right? Fast forward a little bit. After this event came came the next year. The next year, he went on his first book signing tour because he saw me go on my first book signing tour. The year after that, he had his first paid speaking engagement, speaking to fourth graders. He was in fifth grade. He was talking to them about being a young author. Don't tell me that you, as an author, are not inspiring someone, right? That's just the first step is legacy. When you actually tap into your gift of writing this thing, of putting it out there, you're going to motivate, you're going to inspire, you're going to empower others to achieve their dreams. There's a level that you have not seen before, but the fact that you haven't seen it doesn't mean that it isn't real. So that's just the first thing. We're gonna take a quick break. As y'all can tell, my mouth is a little dry. I've been talking for a second. So what I'm gonna do is give a quick shout out to those who take care of me. And I'll be back with you in about 2 and 2.
if I can just keep it just all the way, just 100 with you. Like for me, BOBM, this is the company that helped me to take what was, how can I put it? What was just an idea, right, in my mind. And it sounded good when I said it to my students that, hey, I'm going to write a book. But then allow that to now become something that's not just realized. I've not only wrote one book, but I've written 3, well, actually 4 books. This will be the 5th book that I've either wrote or helped to write. You know, 3 of those have become #1 bestsellers, 2 Amazon bestsellers, and 1 of them is international bestseller. And I'm just saying, like, if it wasn't for BOBM, and not just the publishing side and the writing the book side, but I'm talking about the coaching, right? Helping me to understand that, you know what, this isn't just pages that are collected and put into a book. No, this right here is a whole business, something that can generate multiple streams of income. And that's exactly what it's done for me. It's opened up the doors for speaking opportunities, opened up the doors for me to earn revenue off of the book sales, off of courses that I've created based on the book, leadership development programs that school-based programs that I put together based around this book right here, right? And so it's allowed me to bring in a community of fathers, right, and help build up fathers. And so this thing has done numbers for me, for my family, and for the community that I serve. And so BOBM is nothing short of amazing. My coach, Sugar Ray Destin Jr., like for real, like he is the real deal. And so I'm more than grateful to have crossed paths and continue to do work with BOBM. And if there's anybody that's on the fence and you're like, man, I don't know, maybe I shouldn't, listen to me. Listen to me. Stop playing games. If you got a story to share, you need to put that in the book. And if you're gonna put it in the book, don't just try to wing that thing, right? You need a coach. I promise you, you need a coach, you need a community. You need somebody that has a proven track record, right? That's going to get your book positioned the right way in the marketplace. And that's none other than Sugar Ray Destin Jr. And his team. I'm telling you, BOBM is the real deal. Go ahead and put your money where your mouth is and make it happen.
Back on mute. Hey, I'm back. Listen, everybody, I just wanted to, like I said before, if you don't understand the power of legacy just yet, your legacy, what you are putting out there, is going to, like I said before, is going to impact so many others when it comes down to your project. Next thing we want to talk about is the jobs that you actually can create, the jobs that you can actually create for others. And so one of the first things is obviously the people who work with you on your project, whether it be your editors, your graphic designers for your cover, the people that are formatting the book, the people that are uploading. There's a number of things that go into it. Just on the book side, you're already creating those opportunities for others by stepping into that realm. But before I even talk to you about the jobs that you'll create, because I want you to think in terms of visionaries. And there's a huge visionary that I actually look up to, and I always say this guy started with the mouse and a dream. He literally started with a mouse and a dream. Now, if you don't know the story of Walt Disney, I would actually encourage you to go and look up the story of Walt Disney. This man was so innovative that not only did he not only did he go and say, you know what, I'm just going to start drawing because that was his passion, that was what he wanted to do, but he was one of the first to actually get cartoons on regular TV. He was one of the first to go ahead and create amusement parks. But as he was doing each of these things, people said Disney, why do you think that is going to be something to that we can actually put these animated shows on television? He said, I'm just going to keep going. He kept going forward. And if you know the rest of his story, one of the things that he was passionate about, they say around the time that all the animation started getting bigger and he started having these things on TV, he became obsessed with the idea of creating a smaller train, a mini train that people can ride in, maybe one or two people at a time can ride in. He wanted to see if he can get this small rail station, and he started going and visiting different. They were amusement parks, but actually what they were is themed parks. And he began to study these theme parks because he wanted to see how they operated. And most people said people don't enjoy going to theme parks. And his response was just, yeah, I know. And that was the reason that his response was, yeah, I know, is because what he was trying to do was he was actually looking for ways to make it better. So he became obsessed with the next thing. He was always obsessed with the next thing. If you know anything about Walt Disney, you know that mouse in a dream created not just Mickey Mouse, but it also created Disneyland and Disney World and the Disney Channel and all these animated movies that are out there. It started with a dream that he had that was much bigger. And the reason that I bring this up is because some of you are dreaming way too small. You're not thinking big enough when it comes down to that project. And I hear this all the time. I want to write a book. Why do you want to write a book? Because I got a story. Okay, let's take it out of it's about me and let's turn it into this is much bigger than books. This is much bigger than myself. This is much bigger than just something that I'm putting out into the atmosphere. Your book becomes a living, breathing business the minute that you put it out there. But if you're thinking only small enough, if you're only thinking small enough to get your book out there, and then that's it, you're looking at book sales and book sales and book sales. I want to remind you that Harry Potter was also just something that I believe it was J.K. Rowling began writing while she was on a train. Now Harry Potter is a book that has employed several thousand people. And when I say several thousand, think about the production of Harry Potter. Think about the special effects that goes into it, the movie, the scripting, the actors, the all these things came from just Harry Potter. There's people that have to go into the factories and make those animated toys that Harry Potter has. Your book can do the exact same thing. And if you think it's just a book because it's your story, well, guess what? The autobiography of Malcolm X is just a book, but it also Spike Lee took it and turned it into a movie called X. The movie Hurricane came from a book. The movie The Pursuit of Happiness came from a book. I can go on and on and on. Your book has the ability to create jobs for others. And it's just not one job. There's hundreds of jobs that you can create if you dream big enough. But if you're only thinking small enough that I want to sell 25 books by the end of the year, we're only in March. We're only in March. I need you to think. I need you to think in terms of all of the big picture that you can create. But I want you to start dreaming bigger. What can your book create? What can your book create? I'm hoping that this young lady joins me right now. She's actually she's doing some behind the scenes for her documentary that is coming out soon. And so if we can get her on, I'll give you all a chance to see some of the sneak peeks behind the scenes. But a documentary is something that creates opportunities, because you have your makeup artist. Shout out to the makeup artist over there that's making it happen. Um, there's your videographers. There's your video editors. There are the people who have to put the place everything, the stage crew. Those are all jobs that you can create. If you think about it in terms of the overall environment, I'm going to go into my economics background just for a second. Think about the stores, the bookstores, the libraries that you're employing when you put your book out there and say, we want this book in the bookstores, we want it in the libraries. But you have to create the audience first. Think about the stage hands and the stage crews when you are at a conference, because your book created an opportunity for others and yourself to have a platform to speak to others. There's an entire setup crew that goes on behind the scenes to make it happen. It's not just you. I want you to start thinking bigger. If you think that your story is good enough to create a movie, then guess what? There are people out there who can help you bring your book to reality. If you think that your book is going to create a larger business, it's going to create a training program, a coaching program, eventually, if you dream big enough, then what ends up happening is that your book has the opportunity to not only um, create opportunities for you, but it creates opportunities for others. We build businesses with our books. And I want you to think larger. I want you to start thinking in terms of, how big can I take this thing? How big can I make this book? How big can I actually open this thing up to be? There's outside of that, like I said, it's the jobs that you create. Let's talk about the opportunities for other authors, the opportunities that go in for other authors. One of the first things that you can do to help other authors, because there's a lot of people out there that are scared to become authors. They're scared to sit down and write 100 to 150 or 200 page book by themselves, right? There's some people who just love to write and they're great at it, so they write all the time and they don't have any intentions of publishing. Good job, kudos to you. I'm not one of those people. I am definitely not one of those people. I'm the person who, if I'm going to write something, it's going to get published. I'm not going to do it for free, because I want to create that impact, that lasting impact that helps so many others. Now, if you work with other authors in this capacity, you have the opportunity to create a collaboration book. A collaboration book, or the educated term is an anthology. With an anthology, that person only has to write a chapter. If they write a chapter, they become a published author. Maybe that inspires them to get out of their own way and write a full book. A lot of collaborative authors don't go on to write an entire book, right? And some of us who have written our own projects kind of say, wait a minute, we're waiting on that book because your story was so phenomenal, but you sat on the rest of it because all you wanted to get out was one chapter. It's bigger than just one chapter. Your book, that collaboration gave someone who had that fear of writing, or that fear of taking as much time as it takes to write a book and do it for themselves. It gave them the opportunity to be great in the moment. And so I want you to think of that as an opportunity. Another thing that think of the collaborations that you and another author can work on. If you are a trainer and or a coach, and you and someone else are in the same industry or in similar industries, and you all can work together, you can create a movement from collaborating with other people. It doesn't have to be just about you. It's not about you. It's much bigger than just your personal project. I need you to start thinking about the opportunities that you're creating for others, because when you start getting out of your own way, you're going to create, whether it be jobs or just helping them get out of the fear of writing. You're giving other people the opportunity as authors to work on their projects. And then the last thing is, the last thing that I have for you is very, very, very simple. But once again, got to take care of those that take care of me. In a few minutes, I'll be right back with you. Be back in about 2 and 2.
My experience of being a part of the BOBM Publishing it's changed my life. It has really changed my life. It's changed my life in areas that have made me so sensitive to the things that I've placed in my first book. Not to mention being a part of an amazing editing team, an amazing founder. Not going to say his name, but it has been absolutely amazing. And I'm definitely looking forward to the next project. But being a part of BOBM has changed my life. And it has allowed me to be a part of the winning mindset, as well as my first book, Identity Crisis. I'm so grateful for BOBM. This company has been probably one of the most influential companies I've ever been a part of and wanted to be a part of since actually writing my book. So BOBM is phenomenal. There are no words for this particular company. The visionaries, the editors, it has, from all across the board, it has been amazing. So, yeah.
Hey, and we are back. We are back. Listen, that young lady is working on some major things behind the scenes. So I'm not going to share her story. But I'll just say that in the next year, so she's actually working on her PhD right now. Should be done within the next year or so. So y'all keep an eye out for the young up and coming star. Let's get back to it. So the last thing that we're touching on is something, like I said, it's so simple. It's so simple, but it is something that most nonfiction authors, most self-help, most personal development authors understand. And this is that the opportunity that you're creating for others is that you're helping to solve a problem. You're helping to solve a problem for others. If your book is about a subject that needs to get out there, let's say you're talking about domestic violence. Well, if you've overcome domestic violence, you're helping someone solve their problem because they don't know how to get out of a domestic violence situation. If you are talking about mental health, your book is solving a problem because let's be honest, in different communities, people are not comfortable going in to see mental health specialists. There's a certain stigma on that. So by reading your book, they may be able to open those pages and find some personal healing and then feel more comfortable understanding what it's like to actually go to a mental health therapist, to go to a counselor, to go to a psychiatrist. Yeah, y'all get the point, right? You're helping to solve a problem. If you're writing a book about business, and guess what? Businesses are constantly growing. That's why you see there's books like Traction or Get a Grip or Rocket Fuel that were all written by the same team that discusses the idea of laying a foundation for your business, how to actually structure your personal business. These are things that these are just some of the things people have gone on and grown their businesses as a result of reading books and applying the methods from the interior, right? One of my favorite books is definitely the book not Traction, but Get a Grip, which accompanies the book Traction. Traction is the technical aspects of it. Get a Grip is the story piece. So if you read Get a Grip, you understand how to apply the information that's inside of Traction. Because remember, some people are visual learners, that story helps them work through it, and some people are technical learners, and you can just give them the information, tell them what they need to plug in, and they're going to plug that information in. So I love the fact that they wrote Traction and Get a Grip, because it helps you to design a larger business, and they're specific in their audience. This is for entrepreneurs who have made over 7 figures. They've made anywhere between 1 million and 2.5 to 10 million, and they're looking to grow it exponentially into a large corporation, right? If you think about books like Think and Grow Rich, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Most of us read this book, whether it was college age or a little bit older than college age. And because we read this book, we were able to begin to organize ourselves. We understood the impact of thinking win-win. We understand the power of beginning with the end in mind. But Stephen Covey and his team were so effective. They said, wait a minute, we're not just going to write a book. Yeah, you know exactly where I'm going, Roy. They said, we're not just going to write a book, but we're also going to partner with a planner company and create the Franklin Covey planners, which go along with the concepts that are laid out in the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. So now you have a book. There's also workbooks to go with it. And they didn't just, they saw the potential in the book. So they didn't just say 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, 7 Habits of Highly Effective Teens, 7 Habits of Highly Effective Salespeople, 7 Habits of Highly Effective Parents, 7 Habits for Highly Effective Marriages. You get where I'm going with this. They took one idea. They didn't write multiple books on different subjects. They took one idea. They mastered the concept, and they said, this book is selling so well, we're going to create opportunities for others to partner with us and to work with us. We're going to partner with the planner company. We're going to work with the training and development company. We're going to, you get where I'm going with this. They created, Stephen Covey created opportunities for others to work with him, and not just for others to work with him, but also to create something special. They branched out from that one idea. That one idea turned into so many more because they were able to solve a problem. They were able to solve such a specific problem. They began to niche down into different target groups. And that's the thing. You have to start with one target group, and then you branch out into others that are in the similar vein as the target group that you're in. So that's another example. If anybody who is thinking in terms of real estate, you probably have read the book by Robert Kiyosaki called Rich Dad Poor Dad. That was your first introduction of what is this Rich Dad Poor Dad thing? How does he have a rich dad and a poor dad? I want to read this. And then you find out the key is that his real dad was based on the old structure, and the structure that most of us have heard our lives. Go to school, get a degree, get a better degree, get a job, get a better job, get a house, get the car, stay safe and stable, until his dad realized he went up against his mentor. The dad went up against the dad's mentor for a position, which ended up costing him everything. However, his friend's dad went broke for a little bit because he was investing in properties. He would buy a building here, buy a building there, buy a building here, buy a building there. And eventually the rent that came from those properties that his friend's dad was investing in allowed him to pour into others. He was able to become a philanthropist and start giving back to the community. He was able to purchase over half of the island that they were in. And Robert Kiyosaki said, because he had a rich dad and a poor dad, he had a chance to see both sides of the business. And he understood that property and ownership is where it actually is. Now, this book created the opportunity for Stephen. I keep saying Stephen because I'm thinking of Stephen Covey, for Robert Kiyosaki to speak and work with others. He worked with a lot of other successful people to develop other programs. From his book, Rich Dad Poor Dad, he wrote other books. He wrote multiple books. And keep in mind, when he wrote his book, he worked with Sharon Lecter. Sharon Lecter is an amazing author. If you have heard of any of her work, she's worked with some of the greats on their projects. But here's the thing, she works with them, and because she's such an expert at what she does, they come to her to get her to help take their books to the next level. That's why you have books like 3 Feet from Gold, which is based on the book Think and Grow Rich. Listen, I can go books for days, but that's besides the point. Let me get back on track. With Robert Kiyosaki, with Rich Dad Poor Dad, he's written books on the 4 quadrants of ownership and of income: the employed, the self-employed, the business owner, the investor. You need to be in you. He said that once you get to the business owner, you still have a business, but that business is working for you. But when you become an investor, that's when you have money that's consistently coming in. But the employed and the self-employed, those two are in the worst possible category, because the employed is working, you get taxed heavier. It's besides the point. I'm going somewhere with this. Let's go back to what he was able to create. He was able to create the cash flow board game. Again, creating a board game, you have to create and employ others, because now he obviously didn't have all the information to just create this board game on his own. He had to go to people that already knew how to create a board game. He had to work with the designers. He had to work with the printers. He had to work with the people that were designing and marketing this project. All of this creates opportunities for others. But if you're not thinking big enough, you'll say, I got this great book called Rich Dad Poor Dad. And then you stop right there. This is what I've seen way too many authors do. What I need you to start doing is think bigger. When you create your book, when you write your book and you dream bigger, what's going to happen is you're going to create opportunities for others. By one, you're building your personal legacy. So those that surround you, whether it be your family, your friends, your coworkers, the people in your neighborhood, the people in your city, they're going to start to feel this sense of pride and say, if you can do it, then I can too. I'm proud to say I've worked with well over 500 authors, because guess what? I was one of the first. I was one of the first in my lineage when it comes down to it. I didn't know any other authors that were willing to guide me along the process all the way through the process. I met a few great people in the beginning, but I ended up having to knock it out on my own. A lot of things that I learned along the way, I was able to help others. The first and most important to me was that 7-year-old boy who said, Dad, I want to be an author and a speaker too. That's my son. I love him to death. I love you for life, man. Second person was one of the young ladies from my youth program, Miss Tiara Marie, who said, hey, I want to, her name is actually Tiara White, but she goes by a pen name. She said, I want to be a published author too. And so we published her book. She had her book signing at her school. She spoke on community panels. She did events in the city. Her younger brother published a children's book as a result of it. From there, the list began to grow, because now I started working with more adults. And those adults, there are hundreds of adults that I've worked with. So that's legacy. The second was you're creating jobs for others with the things that you actually build, because whether it be your editor, your graphic designer, the person who's formatting your book, that's if you are willing to invest in yourself and work with professionals. I've seen a lot of people who have not worked with professionals, because of whatever reason. It's a lot of it is financial, but you have to look at it as an investment and not as something that you're just spending to throw it away, right? There's plenty of ways to raise that money, and I'll talk about that on a different video, how you can actually raise your money to invest in that project. But those are just the first few. Then you have, if you decide to turn it into a movie, or you turn it into a play, or you turn it into a documentary, then you're working. Yeah, you got to, Roy. You got to invest in yourself. Then you're working with other people, the videographer, the stagehands, the setup crew, the people who set the decorations, set up the stage for you. You're working with the people behind the scenes, the marketers, the people that are getting the publicity out there for you, the people. There's a host, there's the actors, the actresses, there's a special effects crew. There's so many people that you can begin to employ if you take your book serious, not just look at it as something that you're doing for yourself because God told you that you had a story. Well, God told at least 15 people to create this book of at least 66 books inside of one, called the Bible. It's a book full of stories that have employed people. And when I say employed, you're looking at your pastors, you're looking at all the people that work in different churches. They serve, they help, they do so many things. It has solved problems, because if I can look and find a story that I can relate to, and this is probably one of the first collaborative projects that was out there, but if I can look into a story and see myself in that story, it's going to bring me healing personally. So these are just some of the things, but your book creates opportunities for others as long as you dream big. And I'm going to say it this way: the larger you dream, the more people you are able to help and impact. And me personally, I want to hear that there are hundreds and thousands of people that have been given opportunities because you decided to bet on yourself. You decided to invest in yourself. You decided to take your books to the next level. I don't care about the money. That's not what it's about. I care about the opportunities. If you look at today's society right now, there's a lot of people out there that are actually hurting because this economy is not the way that it should be. But if you bet on yourself, you invest in yourself, and you dream big enough. Remember, the Hilton brand was born out of the Great Depression. Madam C.J. Walker became the first Black millionaire during the Great Depression. It doesn't matter what the situation looks like. If you are willing to invest in yourself, to believe in yourself, to dream big enough, you're going to create opportunities for others through just that single book. You don't have to write 15, 20 books. You don't have to put it out there for free. This is your work. You invested in yourself. You believed in yourself. Allow others to do the same. And when you begin to do that, you are definitely opening the opportunities for others, whether it be financial opportunities, whether it be the opportunities to be a part of a large community, whether it be the opportunities for people to share their gifts with the world through telling your story. Believe in yourself and stop letting these opportunities sit idle. Because if you dream big enough, if you go big enough, then what's going to happen is that you're going to create opportunities for others. And remember, everybody who's ever done something big had to fail first. They had to deal with failure. They had to deal with people talking about them, saying that it wasn't going to happen. We call those people haters these days. Hey, you should thank your haters, because they're the ones that's going to give you the fuel to motivate you to go much further than you ever could have if they had believed in you in the first place. They're going to give you the opportunity. These people had to deal with financial crises. If you hear the story of the FedEx, when FedEx first started, everybody said this is not going to work. The professor actually, the FedEx concept came from a thesis that was written by a grad student. The grad student, he actually received a C on that paper because the professor said it'll never happen. Well, when you give your big ideas to small-minded people, they're going to tell you that it's not possible. That man created FedEx from it. He went bank after bank after bank looking for financing, looking for loans, looking for opportunities. He finally found people to invest in him. When he found people to invest in him, one of the issues, and I laughed when I heard this part of the story. One of the things that happened is that he did not have the money to pay for, at times he didn't have the money to pay for fuel and to pay for his fleets of jets that were out there. And so the repo people would show up at the airports and he would call to his pilots and say, don't land the plane. Can you imagine? You got a plane flying in the air and you got to call your pilot and say, hey, don't land this thing. They're trying to take it. Everybody has been through something, but if you dream big enough and you keep your eyes focused on where you're going, what's going to end up happening is that big dream that you have is going to fuel you to the level of greatness, and it's going to fuel you to continue to create those opportunities for others, because your book is going to create something that other people, one, they want to read, two, they can learn from, three, they want to become involved in helping spread the message. When you get to number 3, yeah, it will catch fire. When you get to number 3 and people want to help to spread the message of your book, that's when you begin to create a movement. Once you create a movement from your book, that's when the world changes. It only takes one person to strike a match to light the first candle. You may be that candle, and your book may be, you may be the person. Your book may be that candle that you're striking a match on. Listen, that's all I got for y'all today. I hope y'all enjoyed it. Just giving y'all some thoughts, some things that's going on up here. Some people talk about some people talk about others. Some people talk about ideas. I just want to help you win. I love y'all. I love y'all to life, and it ain't nothing you can do about it. Until next time, I see y'all next time. Love y'all.